Hello, and welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. I'm glad to see you all today. We were off last week for Labor Day. We all had a bit of a rest from our virtual programs. So I'm glad to see you here now. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and this is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. So, couple of things. Many of you may know that the library is now open for business. We are open for browsing as well as book checkout. Unfortunately, you can't come and study at the library. We have taken all of the chairs out, but we do have some computers available for public access computers. If you need to use the computers, we are available. But we also have been doing our virtual programming basically since March. Kickin' Cooking was one of our first creations from the library. I've been doing it pretty much since early April. And we are basically a place to share recipes, share what we're cooking. The live presentation, our live program was every Monday at 5 p.m. We do have a program change. We are now going to the second and the fourth Monday of every month. So this, of course, is the second Monday. We will be back on the fourth Monday of September. The other thing on the second Monday of every month is our cookbook club. And I am actually getting ready for our cookbook club, which meets at 6:30. We met for 5 years in person, which was basically a potluck every month. We would choose a cookbook and everybody would select a recipe, prepare it, and bring it to share. We're not doing that at the moment because of the pandemic, but we are still meeting via Zoom, and it's a great way to connect and talk about food and share pictures of what we're cooking. It's unfortunately we don't get to taste everybody's dish, but it is a great, I would call it a great fellowship, a great way to be together and talk about things that are really important to us. For us, it's food. So this month, one of the things that, we've missed a lot of things during the pandemic. We aren't, again, we haven't always been able to be together or actually look at a cookbook unless it is online or virtual. So we have actually expanded the cookbook club, and we have been actually exploring some food blogs. And that is not something we had done much as a group. And I think there has been some really interesting discoveries in terms of great cooks, great people who are cooking, experimenting with food, sharing their recipes. And so this tonight, everybody in our group is actually cooking from the food blog Serious Eats, which I will just say up front, I really loved. And it was highly recommended to me. One of my cookbook club members, Karen Hart, said she thought it was excellent and she'd been cooking from it for a while. And so I just thought we'd talk a little bit about food blogs. Food blogs have been around about over 20 years, really since the internet began. And some of the more famous food blogs, you probably remember the movie Julie and Julia. That was a food blog that Julie Powell started to make her way through Julia Child's Mastering the Art of French Cooking. And she blogged about it that year. And that's probably one of the more famous food blogs. But there are some other great food blogs. And I'd love to hear from anybody if you actually cook from any of the food blogs, if you visit them regularly. The other one that the Cookbook Club has cooked from is Smitten Kitchen, because Deb Perlman has actually published 2 cookbooks. One was Smitten Kitchen, and I think the other one was Smitten Every Day. We have cooked from the Smitten Kitchen cookbook, both of them, for Cookbook Club, and we really do like her recipes a lot. So I'd love to hear from anybody else who's watching. What blogs do you visit, if you visit any blogs? But again, we are going to be cooking from Serious Eats, which makes many of the top 10, top 20 lists in terms of top food blogs. It has been around since 2006. And it has grown. It's award-winning. It actually won a James Beard Foundation Award for Best Blog and Best Video Webcast. The other thing that I found really interesting about Serious Eats is they actually do product reviews for items in your kitchen. And as you know, I have some of my favorite kitchen utensils that I just love. And so this is a good place if you're looking to purchase a certain kitchen utensil. They may very well have reviewed it. So it is a good resource for that as well. But I was amazed at all the recipes on Serious Eats. The founder is Ed Levine. He is the founder. He calls himself the founder and overlord. I'm not sure I would actually want to work for somebody who calls himself the overlord. But he is he's a former New York Times food contributor and author of New York Eats and New York Eats More. So those are, I believe those are cookbooks. And he founded Serious Eats in 2006 and is a haven for enthusiastic and opinionated eaters. I'm not sure about that, but if you visit Serious Eats, maybe you are opinionated as well. And he really has Serious Eats he's overseen the expansion of it from a blog covering food trends and restaurant industry, consumed by a small but very lively community of fans. It's really now a full-fledged food resource with recipes and instructional cooking content. So I definitely suggest that you check it out. But again, if you've got any blogs that you like to visit, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. So today we are going to be cooking. I'm cooking two things today. I know I'm just a glutton for punishment here. But I found two things. I couldn't decide between both of them. So I cooked both. So I'm in the process of cooking some of them, and I'm going to demonstrate at least one of the recipes. The one I'm going to show you is Boursin and Gruyere spinach and artichoke gratin dip. And I've always, I like spinach dip, but sometimes I feel like it's going to be better than it really is. Spinach dip is one of those things that it's just iconic. People bring it to parties. Of course, nobody's going to parties now, but this just sounded delicious. So of course it's got cheese in it, so it's got to be good. But I thought I would show you what I was going to do for this recipe. The other thing I thought, because if it was just me, I'd probably just eat an hors d'oeuvre for dinner, but I do have to feed my family who is still here. I have 2 college-age students that are home for the fall, so I am still cooking for the family. Fortunately, they are pitching in some, but if I had my way, I'd just have that for my dinner. But I did actually cook something else to go with it. So the second dish that I'm gonna at least show you, I'm kind of midway through cooking this, is actually Nordstrom's tomato basil soup recipe. Nordstrom's apparently is really famous for this tomato basil soup, and I was intrigued, and my family loves tomato soup, so I thought I would give that a try to serve with the spinach dip, which I'm actually also going to, I'm going to slice up a baguette and we're going to serve it on rounds. So we can use the dip, but we can also put the rounds into our tomato soup. So anyway, so here we go. I'm going to show you how to make Boursin and Gruyere spinach and artichoke gratin. All right, so here we go. Welcome back to my kitchen. Again, here I am. You're going to stop seeing my face and see my midsection because we're going to show you what we're cooking. So the first thing, I'm going to show you this this spinach dip first. You can see kind of in the distance here, I am cooking my tomato soup. I just got all the ingredients in. It is cooking for about 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, but I'll show you that in a bit. So we are going to start with cream cheese. Of course, I'm always late to getting this to room temperature, so it's kind of sitting it kind of on my stove to get it warm. It starts with 8 ounces of cream cheese, and it's supposed to be room temperature. It's getting there. It's definitely softer, but I could have had it at a little warmer temperature, but I didn't get back from the library until about 3:30, so I'm playing catch up here. The second ingredient is going to be Boursin garlic and herb cheese. And again, this should be room temperature. I mean, just Boursin itself, you could just eat this and this would be great. But this is going in as well. So I've got, again, 8 ounces of cream cheese. At room temperature, I have a container of Boursin, which is herb and garlic. They have lots of different flavors, but that's the one they called for in this recipe. The other basic main ingredient is spinach. Ooh, I'm throwing things around here. This is a pound of chopped spinach. I just bought it frozen. It didn't say it had to be fresh. If you want to, get fancy, you could use fresh spinach. I just pulled this out of a package and I defrosted it. And then I drained it and squeezed all of the liquid out. That's really important with spinach dip, is you do not want any of the water left. So I sat here for a while and really scrunched it and got all of the water out. So this is about 16 ounces, maybe a little bit more, because I had 2 packages of 10 ounces each. So it's a little bit more than that, but I love my spinach. So I'm one of the only ones in my family that like spinach. Okay. So there is the chopped spinach with all of the liquid squeezed out of it. The next thing is you wanted a can of artichoke hearts. This needs to be, it's a 14-ounce can. I just got the giant brand. It was really affordable. And I drained it and I chopped it. So, and it asks you to chop it fairly finely. So I finely chopped my artichokes. And we're going to put that in here. I probably could have even drained that a little bit more. So now we have 8 ounces of cream cheese. We have the Boursin, our garlic and herb Boursin. And we have the spinach, chopped spinach. It was just frozen and we drained that out. And then the chopped up artichoke hearts. And then 2 tablespoons of dry white wine. So let me put that in there. It might be a little bit more than 2 tablespoons. But as Julia would say, nothing bad about wine. Maybe she said that, but it was something in that vicinity. Okay, and then it calls for 2 cups of coarsely grated Gruyere. And I have about two cups here. So I'm going to put a cup in, and then the rest is going to go on the top to top it. So, and I am going to start to mix this all up and integrate this, get this all incorporated. Eventually it's going to ask for some salt and pepper. It did not say how much. I think it's basically to taste. I was going to do about a 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. I think the Boursin will already, and the cheese will make this fairly salty. And then probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Some people like pepper better than I don't like to heavily pepper things. It's just a little overwhelming for me. So, but anyway, I'd love to see if anybody, again, maybe they have an experience with spinach dip. I mean, it's one of those, like I said, it's just this iconic dish, and some people have their favorite recipe for spinach dip. So I'd love to hear from people if they've got spinach dip. This, of course, has some additional things in it like Gruyere cheese and cream cheese. I know some people, I've had a recipe where you put mayonnaise into spinach dip, and that's good too. And then I've also seen recipes where it's calling for Parmesan cheese as opposed to Gruyere, but this kind of came from the French section of the Serious Eats food blog. So Gruyere seems to be appropriate since it's in a French considered a French recipe. So okay, so we've got everything incorporated. I'm going to put some of this pepper in here, just about a quarter teaspoon, and then maybe about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. Again, I don't want to over salt it, but so we're just going to mix that up. And then it's going to have you just put this in a baking dish or a gratin. I don't really have a gratin in the French sense, but I do have a really nice baking dish. So that's where I'm going to put my spinach dip. Okay, so that's pretty much incorporated. I have this really nice baking dish that I am going to put this in. And then we will top it with the rest of the Gruyere, and then we will pop it in the oven. So get all of the goodness into the pan. Okay, so that's that. And we're going to just kind of spread this around. Again, we're going to cook this till it's hot and bubbly and melted on the top. So here we are. We're going to put the Gruyere on top, and then we're going to bake this for 15 minutes, and then it's going to ask you to kind of put it on the broiler, and then just broil it for a couple of minutes to get that nice brown crust on the top. But you, again, with broiling, and especially something like this, keep an eye on it because it can easily burn. So again, we're all set. This is our spinach dip with Gruyere and Boursin. It's officially called the Boursin and Gruyere spinach and artichoke gratin dip. Someday we will all be coming together and having parties again with spinach dip. So please consider this as a as something that you might bring to a party. I was just looking here to see who's here. I see Mary, hello, and Liz, hi Liz, making my entry tonight as I watch you. Definitely miss our monthly tasting meetings. Liz and Mary are both some of my cookbook club members, and yes, I definitely miss tasting everybody's dishes. So okay, so I am going to stick this in the oven, and then I'm going to show you what I'm cooking here on the stove. Okay, so we're going to put that on for 15 minutes, and then I'm going to just bring you over here with the magic of television, the magic of Facebook, and I'm just looking for I'm going to take this off. I have this boiling. I really need to turn this down. But as you can see, I am cooking this Nordstrom tomato and basil soup. This apparently is famous at Nordstrom's, and we are cooking it to go with our spinach dip. So I used whole tomatoes, and eventually I'm going to put them in the blender and blender them after they have cooked for a while. It calls for an onion. It calls for 4 very large carrots that you cook and soften with the onions. You put in your basil. Now this recipe called for dried basil, but I still have some fresh basil in my garden, so I used fresh, although the recipe said you can definitely use dried. When this cooks for about 30 minutes, then I'm going to start in batches, blender the tomato soup, and then put it back into the pot. Of course, this is a creamed tomato soup, so eventually I'm going to put about a pint of cream in here. So, how that's got to be good. So, and that, again, it's got the basil and the tomatoes. And the recipe on Serious Eat says what really makes this is the carrots. So again, we're cooking it for about 30 to 45 minutes. We're getting them nice and soft so they can be in the blender. So again, that is the Nordstrom's tomato basil soup, and we're going to do that. We're going to make that with the spinach dip that I made. So I guess that is it for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. If you are looking for past episodes, you can find every episode we have done on our YouTube channel. If you go to YouTube and then just type in the Haverford Township Free Library, you will see all of the past episodes of Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. So you can see when I made my lemon meringue pie, and all of the cassoulet I made last fall or last spring. All of the recipes are there, and all of the shows are there. So again, that's on our YouTube channel. So again, thank you for joining us for Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. Just another program note that we are now, it's the second Monday and the fourth Monday of every month. So we'll see you later this month. Thanks for joining us, and have a great day.